So we have agreed that every third day we shall start with questions. I hope you will put more investigation into what you are learning here and ask some good questions so that all of us can benefit, including myself. We are learning through a challenge. If we don't have a challenge, we stagnate. So you should give me some good challenge so that I can think for the benefit of all of you. Okay, so let us come to the first question. Light, then I can see better. The first question is concerned the meditation on the blue color. It says, when we meditate on the blue flower, where should we think our mind is? On the forehead or at the heart chakra? Could you please clarify? Yesterday, we have explained that according to the especially Mahayana tradition, all objects come from the mind. This principle you will find in all Buddhist scriptures. The first verse of Dhammapada says, the mind is the forerunner of all the phenomena. Mano pubangama dhamma. The mind is a leader of all the phenomena. Mano seta. And the mind is the container of all the phenomena. Mano maya. So, of course, when you meditate on the blue flower, you are meditating to make a clear impression in your mind. You don't think about the third eye or the heart chakra. You think about the mind. Now, according to the Indian tradition, and you should yourself investigate that and see that very clearly, the seat of the conventional mind, not of the ultimate mind. Please distinguish very clearly. This distinction is of crucial importance for our understanding of Buddhism. The seat of conventional mind is in heart. According to Buddhism and even according to Indian or Chinese medicine, the seat of cognition is not the brain as nowadays the science believes, but it is the heart. This idea you will find even in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. And it is very important to understand why. When I was recently in Spain, I met some brain researcher, very famous brain researcher, who asked me if we can induce meditation by calculating, by how do you say, by inciting the brain, or by manipulating the brain. And actually, he is very convinced that we can do it. So that would contradict the idea that the seat of the mind is in the heart, but actually it does not. We had a very interesting discussion on that. According to Buddhism, and even according to holistic medicine, our thinking is dominated by feelings, by sensations. So when you actually manipulate the brain, you manipulate the sensations. So for a non-realized person, of course, you can induce some kind of states like with the drugs, which are similar to meditation. Because you manipulate through the brain, you manipulate the sensations. And the sensations decide what the mind thinks. Very important to understand, the samsaric mind, the conventional mind, is ruled by the sensations, and the sensations are ruled by the perceptions. This is the essence of Buddhist teachings. So, when you practice meditation and you have advanced in meditation to the extent that you have attained the 9th stage of Shamatha, and the mind is attuned to the subtle forms, to the rupa dhatu. When you turn attention from your meditation object to the heart, then you will see actually the meditation object in the heart very clearly. So it means your mind has a fixation, your mind has samadhi. Because your mind does not move, then it can see the image of your meditation. We have explained that all objects of meditation are mental objects. So when your mind is fixed in shamatha, when you turn attention to your mental heart, it is very easy to find out the mental heart when you have samadhi. then you will find the meditation object that you have been working on, be it the breath or the blue color, inside of your mental heart. Then you can know that you have attained shamatha. So, this is very important to understand. You don't need to search anywhere else except your mental heart. The mental heart and the physical heart are related but not the same. Same like the pranic body and the physical body, they are related but not the same. So that much for the first question. So let us go to the other question. It was said that in order to develop shamatha, one needs an unmoving object. How the breath is considered to be an unmoving object? As the breath is different from the out-breath, and the beginning of the in-breath is different from the middle of the and end in terms of temperature, strength, and so on. Very good questions. This kind of question I am very happy to think about and answer. Now we have explained that all meditation objects, they are mental objects. They are mental objects because they are perceived by the mental consciousness. It is the mental consciousness which perceives the images, which perceive the concepts. The five consciousnesses cannot perceive images, cannot perceive concepts. Impossible. And we have said that the five consciousnesses, they are based in mental consciousness. If there is no mental consciousness, eye, ear, and so on have no function whatsoever. They become completely useless. Why? Because our eye, ear, and so on, that eye that perceives the color, ear that hears the sound, tongue that can taste the taste, nose that can smell the odor, and body that can touch something and feel it as a pleasant or unpleasant, or as neither pleasant nor unpleasant. All of them, they are based on, in Buddhism or in Indian science, they use a different name in Samkhya or other Indian philosophies, but it is the same idea. They are based on the sensitivity of eye, sensitivity of the ear, sensitivity of the nose, sensitivity of the tongue, sensitivity of the body. These sensitivities, they perceive the object because they are directly related to the mind. The other part of the eye is not directly related to the mind. It cannot see any color. And that part of the eye which is sensitive to color is only small fragment of the eye. According to the wise Shariputra, it is the size of a flea. Flea. 跳蚤. When you have samadhi and you investigate the 4 elements and so on, you can check if it makes sense or not. So, this sensitivity of the eye is based on our karma. Now, we are born with good eyes, with good ears, or with not good ears. You have learned that if we are deaf, it is a result of our past bad karma. If we are blind or half blind, it's also the result of our past bad karma. When you learn the supernatural powers of seeing the past lives, you can actually experience that karma. So, we perceive actually through the mind. The meditation object is perceived through the mind. Now the breath, how do we experience the breath? Through the body, bodily consciousness. What is the object of bodily consciousness? Hardness, softness, smoothness, roughness, heaviness, lightness. These are the objects of the bodily consciousness. And what is the object of the mental consciousness? The images, the concepts. Now, when you start meditating, then because you rely on the bodily consciousness, so you experience more prominently by in-breath, you experience heat. Heat belongs to the, you experience coolness, sorry. By breathing out, you experience warmth. When you experience coolness and warmth, you definitely also experience some hardness, which is earth. You experience some vibration, pushing sensation, which is wind element. And you experience these elements are holding together, which is the water element. So the bodily consciousness experiences the elements. And these elements, they are always in the state of flux, in the state of change. When you have more concentration, you will see the same place where you have been experiencing heat, you will see that the hardness become more prominent, then the pushing becomes more prominent. This sensation of the elements is always changing. But the image of the breath, the concept of the breath is not changing, should not change. That's how you get your concentration. So a beginner in concentration cannot avoid paying attention to this hardness, softness, smoothness, roughness, heaviness, coolness, cohesion, pushing. But when you get a better concentration, these perceptions go into background. This is how the mind gets more and more stability. When the mind has more stability, it will get the power to illumine the object. So, this is how you learn your meditation on the breath. When the object is illumined by the mind, then the mind becomes more and more fixed on the object. When the mind becomes completely fixed on the object, then the image of the object, the color, the light does not change. When it does not change at all for a long time, then you can change your attention from where you have been observing the touch of the breath in your body, in the nostrils or on the whole body, to the mental heart itself. And you will see the same image because your mind has been stabilized. Then you know you have attained samadhi. So in case of the blue flower, who experiences a blue color? The eye and the mind. The eye only sees the color. It is the mind which distinguishes all the different nuances of the color. Who can sing of what kind of flower it is? Then it will get the idea it is this and that flower. So when you meditate on the flower, you fix your attention on the middle of the flower. You do not pay attention to the different nuances of the color. And first, you fix your eyes on the color. You help yourself with the repeating to yourself, blue, 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 blue. So that the vitarka or applied thought fixes the mind on the object. The function of the vitarka, shin, is to fix the mind on the object. That's why, according to Buddhist tradition, the vitarka, applied thought, produces a speech. Because when we speak, the mind is fixed on the object. The mind is fixed on the concept, which is the object of our speech. This is why the use of mantra is very important for fixing the mind. Now, how does this mind go into the object? How can the mind go into the object? According to Buddhist philosophy, the mind goes into the object because of three things. First is applied thought. Applied thought, shun, vitarka, shun sita, shun. The mind goes to the object due to will, chetana, s. And mind goes to the object due to prana. If these three things are missing, the mind cannot go to the object. When you have attained the higher stages of concentration, you even don't need the applied thought. The will itself will do the job. You don't need the support of applying the thought, of literally searching for the object. In Chinese, the vitarka is translated as shin, which means searching. Actually, it means that. When you search for the object, and your mind is not yet fixed on the object, then the will go to the object. If you don't search for the object, the will not go to the object. And how it will go to the object? By the help of the prana. This prana is related to what Buddhism calls the life faculty. Minkan. We are alive because our body is related to the prana and to the will. So, this is very important to understand. That's why we have explained that the object of meditation is a mental object. Because a mind can practice concentration and wisdom only with the mental objects. It cannot practice concentration and wisdom with the object of the five senses. This should be understood very clearly. And one should meditate on that. Then one will understand the Buddhist teaching that mind is the predecessor, forerunner of all the phenomena. Forerunner, xian zhou, xian, hou the xian. First is mind, then there is object. The mind is the leader of the objects. All objects are contained in the mind. So even the object of the senses are contained in the mind. That's why in the Buddhist philosophy, the five senses are directly related to the alaya consciousness, base consciousness, which is in Theravada called bhavanga. The bhavanga literally means the cause of life, cause of existence. So now let us go to the next question. Yeah, it's now is in German. Please don't give me answers in German. Better in English, because then I will have to translate and it will take a long time. So this is a misunderstanding, this German question from Andreas. And this misunderstanding we have clarified. Now you are meditating on the object. And we have explained that the object has to be very clear. When the object is very clear and stable, then you can turn attention to the mind. When you turn the attention to the mind, then the mind becomes the object. And the mind, as such, has no object. The worldly mind, the conventional mind, is based on object. The ultimate mind is to be discovered. When you discover the ultimate mind, you will discover that this mind has no fixed place, no place. So, in fact, it has no real abode. All the previous abodes of the mind, they are in our base consciousness. Very important to understand. They are the seeds which then creates the mental objects. And with creation of this mental object, they appropriate the senses and what the senses experience. So the mind is first. The Vasubandhu in the first verse of the 30 verses of Mere Consciousness, says, Atma Dharma Upacharo Vividaya Pravartate Vijnana Parinamo Asau Parinama Sachatrida. Because we have the habit, upachara, of seeing a self in persons and in the things. So the mind is being transformed. The nature of the mind, which is emptiness, is being transformed. And this is what we experience as our world. In a way, even though it's explained in a different way in different Buddhist philosophies, no matter what Buddhist philosophies, they would all agree to that. I mean, especially the Mahayana tradition. So this is very important to understand and to think about. The mind which perceives the object, which feels the object, which differentiates the object, it's a worldly mind. And through, according to Buddhism, we can only understand the ultimate when we have penetrated the worldly experience. So that is why we meditate on the object first, before we meditate on the nature of the mind. If we don't meditate on the object, our mind remains a monkey mind. Unless we have a very powerful previous experience in the past life. So this is very important to understand. So now we come to the next question. What are the 4 conditions you mentioned for obtaining shamatha? That is the firm bodily posture, the unmoving object, that we have explained, that is in your book written. What were the others? Unmoving object, unmoving object, clear. Eye fixed, that is true. The eye, fixation of the eye is not moving. Object should be clear, yes. That is in your book. Normally, we may explain in a different way. All these are just explanations. In different books you will find different explanations. But this explanation is very useful. So we can summarize the four: the fixed eye, clear object, the firm bodily posture, fixed eye, clear object, firm bodily posture, and unmoving object. Yes. How can we have unmoving object? Because we pay attention to the concept. The concepts do not move. The reality is always moving. So later, when you have mastered meditation, then the Abhidharma Samuccaya Asanga explains, when the mind does not move, it is shamatha. When the mind is moving, it is vipassana. But this is only when you have mastered. And how you will cultivate the non-moving mind, the silent mind, by these four trainings in clear object, fixed eyes, firm body, and unmoving object. So, in recent times, experimenting with psychoactive substances like peyote or ayahuasca, which are traditional shamanic medicines, has been promoted in Western Dharma circle as a means to explore subtle mental states that are otherwise difficult to access through meditation. What is your view on this practice? Best is not to have you, but it is of course true that these substances can induce states of super sensitive mind, which is similar to what we experience with supernatural powers, but on the base of shamatha, not on the base of drugs. There was a very famous Czech parapsychologist called Milan, what is his name? Milan. He left in, like myself, in 1968. And what is his name? The Milan, with this special breathing techniques and so, became very, very popular, wrote many, many books. Anyway, he was the head of the department of parapsychology in University of Prague. In the socialist times in Prague and Moscow, they had the department of parapsychology, especially training the astronauts also to face all kinds of exceptional conditions. Now he immigrated to Stanford, California University, and had the same job there. He wrote many, many books. And he got a scholarship from the American government to experiment. He has been experimenting a lot with his drugs, with scientific methods. And he got a scholarship to experiment on yogis in India. So he went to the Himalayas in search for realized yogis, and he was very lucky. He met some very highly realized Baba somewhere in Gangotri, or I don't exactly remember. And he gave him a triple dose of LSD, which normally makes people completely mad. And then after this he asked him, Babaji, what did you experience? And he said, very unpleasant taste in the mouth. So this is very interesting indeed. The normal mind we experience based on the five senses, and the mind in samadhi is quite different. So you train in non-blinking eyes, in non-moving body, clear object. And maybe then if you experience with peyote, ayahuasca, maybe very, very different. Is nirvana a state of consciousness? Of course, this is the idea of the so-called Vijnanavada school. But normally in Buddhism, we never identify nirvana with consciousness. But definitely all Buddhist traditions will agree that understanding consciousness is the preliminary for nirvana. Oh yeah, we already surpassed our time. So we do 10 minutes meditation, and we leave the last question for the next time. So now we have 2 more teachings. Then I hope I have given you some impulse, as Christian has advised me, so that you will think of some good questions, and we can have some interesting discussions, but after 2 days. Okay, so who will take care of that? Okay, so we are thinking about these 4 preliminaries: fixing body, making it stable, but at the same time not too uncomfortable; fixing the eye on the meditation object, try to make it clear and not moving. Yuan Ci Gong De Pu Ji Yi Qie Wo Dan Yi Zhong Sheng Jie Gong Chen Fo Tao. May the merits we have gained spread to all beings, so that myself and them together attain the Buddhahood. Thank you.